The early history of human existence can be traced to the heart of northern Nigeria. Here, archaeologists found evidence of a group of people who sculpted clay and developed tools to smelt iron. The local artifacts tell the tale of skilled craftsmen. Evidence of ironworking and tools date from roughly the 7th century BCE at Taruga, near Abuja. The fertile lands around the Kaduna River provided the perfect settlement for this thriving civilization. This is the area largely referred to as the Nak culture. Red-colored earthenware sculptures called terracotta were found within a 500-kilometer radius of Taruga.
The Nok culture covers a very wide area, and by the time Bernard Falk finished collecting and established the area that was covered, he was able to cover an area between Zaria in Kaduna State down to Katsina Allah in Benue, then from Kagara in Niger State up to Jos Plateau. This is the width of the Nok culture. Initially, Bernard Falk was afraid of calling it a culture because to them in archaeology, they are always skeptical about calling any prehistory societies cultures. But because of the characteristics of the Nok terracottas, he believed that they belong to a culture because when you look at the features of the terracottas, they were very unique from the ones you found in the whole width of the Nok culture. They were the same. They were work of terracottas. They will represent largely human figures and animal.
Nak sculptures have been found across an area over 78,000 square kilometers.
Nok became popular particularly in history because of the discovery of the terracotta, which began here in 1928. In 1928, there was a British colonial officer by the name Colonel D. Young, who was stationed in Jos, and there was some form of mining activities that took place in the Nok community, and an artifact like the head of a monkey was found. Colonel Young came down, saw this artifact and took it to Jos. That very artifact is the reason today that you have what is today the Jos Museum.
The discovery was remarkable evidence of an advanced civilization which developed skills for the use of iron technology. By testing the clay samples, scientists also discovered all the clay likely came from the same source. This could mean a central authority or monarchy controlled access to the clay. Other sites of archaeological importance in the region include Tudunwada, Kutamfa, Jema'ame-Tumbi, Kau, and Kagara, all of which were smelting iron between 900 BCE and 200 CE, the recognized dates for the duration of the Nok culture. Nok artifacts are mostly terracotta sculptures of human heads, human figures, and animals. One of the unique features of the Nok sculpture is the triangular-shaped eyes. Holes in the eyes and mouths were not just an artistic expression. They also served a practical purpose, as vents for hot air, which could have cracked the sculptures when fired in extreme heat. Nok human figures also have elaborate hairstyles. Typically, humans are depicted seated with their hands on their knees. In Taruga, archaeologists found at least 13 iron smelting furnaces. They also discovered other iron artifacts such as farming tools and weapons. Nok stone tools were more prevalent than metals. This suggests that metal materials were scarce. The Nok are significant for being one of the very few civilizations in the world that transitioned from stone tools straight to iron tools without first learning how to make copper or bronze. However, most details of Nok culture, society, and social organization remain unknown. Yet, there is evidence of an advanced judicial system. They had courts for settling cases of various levels, ranging from minor civil cases to larger criminal cases.
What is today Nok culture actually had one of the longest judicial systems. Now, this judicial system was what you saw at the shrine. At that shrine, you saw the seat of the chief priest. And the chief priest will be referred to in the language of Ham, which is Ham, as the Kopku. Ku was flanked by the council of elders who represent all the clans. They are like what you can call today special assistants.
You see this stone, or these stones you are seeing all these lines, we have 8 clans. And if we start counting from this place, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that one, the last one is 8. But this one is mentally for the chief priest and his assistant. And this is where the chief priest normally sit down. Sit down here. If they are in the shade, PS students, they will sit down here, they will cook here. Then he will sit there, his center table. So anything that they will bring to him, they will bring it here. And then he himself cannot take it. He can only ask his next to him to take. If he take it, understand I take it safely, then he himself will take. Let us assume we keep our properties here. Then one of the properties lost. This is where at least they will bring you here. They believe in song. You come and stay here. If the sun has never comes out, you cannot sway. And if you stand here, if you will sway, then they see your body is shaking. If your body is shaking, they will ask you to go back home. Let the leader of your house to go and ask you, is it true that you want to sway? You will say yes. Then another week, they will bring you down. Then if you sway here, if you turn your back like this, going to your house, you cannot turn and look back again. You look back, the next day, at least they will hear another history about it.
Mu da muka tashi da baya mun samu labari akan wannan ita sifa gunki. An same ta ne a lokacin da ake tonon guza. Iyayenmu can da suna aikin guza aka tono ta. To da aka tono ta kuma an kawo ta an gan sifa ce tana da fuskan mutum, an doke ta tana da ma'ana. Ma'anan kenan aka sa shi a gari. Gari kuma sun taru sun gani abu ne mai kyau a kebe ta a bata wuri don a samu tarihi nan gaba.
Gaskiya ya sa suna garinmu gaskiya tafi wurare da ban wurin mai nisa sosai yanda ba kowa a nan garin zai taka ya kai wurin ba tunda suna wannan abubuwan ya kai ya taimake garin Nok ta yi suna sosai kuma abubuwa mai su wanda suna taimake mu don ko dan Nok inda ya je makaranta ana ce ya ji mana finin sunan Nok za a doke shi da daraja.
The people of Nok are Ham, and the Ham people have one unique culture. And this unique culture is that the people of Ham are very receptive. Bernard Fack lived in this area from 1945 to about 1960 before he left. If the people were not receptive, I don't see how he would have survived those number of years. People were known to be very friendly. In fact, the colonial record of 1909 and 1910 has a documentation which it was published on the 4th of January 1910. that the Governor General of Nigeria at that time visited this town. He actually came to the town of Kwang, which is called Kwai today, and he was writing to the SIM missionaries, and he said to them, you have a field for your mission work among the Java people, but the name should have been the Ham anyway. And he said the people are receptive, they are industrious, and they can speak Hausa. Now, if our people were able to speak Hausa to the point that the colonial government recognized that in 1909, it is a clear sign that the people were very, very receptive.
The golden age of the Nok declined very fast. All of a sudden, the quantity of pottery and terracotta in soil layers dropped. Most terracottas were damaged upon discovery and had been displaced by water action, so that their original context is difficult to determine. This suggests that the once blooming Nok civilization declined at a rapid pace. The reason for this remains unknown. In the quest to unravel the mysteries of the past, there are places reminiscent of a dark colonial history. The coming of European traders in the late 15th century and 16th century CE and slave trade may also have contributed to the pillaging of Nok artifacts. Behind the chiseled faces, Nok sculptures carry tales of colonial exploitation. Since 1928, foreign explorers have been carting away some of the Nok sculptures overseas. According to the scientific investigation company Bortolo, by 1993, a consortium of European dealers organized systemic looting of the Nok area. The Nok sculptures were smuggled through Togo and Cotonou. In 1998, the French bought 3 Nok sculptures from a Belgian dealer for 2.5 million francs. At the time, the export of these antiquities were illegal. At the intervention of the International Council of Museums, the Nigerian and French governments signed an after-the-fact agreement. Today, those 3 sculptures remain in France, at the Musée du Quai Branly, after the Nigerian government signed an agreement to loan the pieces to the museum for 25 years, subject to renewal. Amidst the vibrant tapestry of human creativity, Nok sculptures stand tall. In New York City, at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Nok sculptures are valued. In Washington, D.C., at the National Museum of African Art, Nok sculptures are on display. The sculptures symbolize the rich tapestry of African heritage. The story of how the sculptures were transported to these museums spread across the globe are key to unraveling the ancient civilizations of the Nok. More than mere collections, they are evidence of the glorious cultural heritage of Africa. The Nok art terracotta figures have been targeted by illicit trafficking in cultural antiquities through extensive looting, most dug up and destroyed entirely. As night falls in Kaduna, the fading light of the crocodile city does not hide its dreams. The legacies of the past continue to shape the present and inspire the future.
As a researcher, I have actually dealt with the study of narrative, how stories are constructed, and how true and also false stories can become popular. Same is the story with Kaduna. From what I have found as a linguist, the name Kaduna is most likely to come from the Bagi word Aduna, which means water. Now, if that is the case, maybe it is a second version that talks about Cotta. Because if you have a big river like River Kaduna, there will be no surprise that you're going to find lots of crocodiles in that water. Now, from what I have gathered from my readings, Kaduna became an interest or interesting to the colonial government because of the weather. Now, the colonial government as early as 1908 had considered moving the capital from Zungeru to Kaduna. And that was because the weather in Zungeru was extremely hot, and the colonial officers, who were white people, had a lot of challenges with diseases and also putting up with the heat. Unfortunately, the movement of the capital of Nigeria, or maybe what was northern protectorate at that time from Zungeru to Kaduna, did not see the light of day until 1918, that it was fully moved. Now, so yes, there is a possibility that the name comes from Cotta, but it is unlikely that it comes from Cotta because the original inhabitants of what is Kaduna are Gbagi people and not Hausa. They didn't speak Hausa. By the time the colonialists came there, they spoke Gbagi. So if they spoke Gbagi, is it likely that the language or the name of the town will come from Hausa language? That is a source that we need to study further. What I do believe is that the name would come from the river, and the river is called Adna in Gbagi.
Kaban zuwan Turawa tana cikin yan karaman gari ne, itatuwa ne, ban ka zo a wani lokaci dokoki za ka samu a garin. Shi za ki ci mata doka, to daga baya zuwan Turawa kuma su ga wannan rafi da wayannan kwari da yawa suka samu ta Kaduna. In ka ji an ce Kaduna suna da yawa, in aka ce Kada kwaya daya, amma aka ce sun kai biyu Kaduna kenan, sun kai uku Kaduna ne.
Da Tura suka zo suka duba suka ga duk Kaduna ne a ciki. Kado ga sunan ba iyaka. Shine dalilin suka sa mata Kaduna, kuma kogin shine Kaduna, shi garin sunansa Doka.
Tun lokacin Tura suka samu ainihin wannan gari Kaduna saboda duka rafukanmu ba inda za ka shiga inda ba za ka samu kada ba.
I tried to read all the colonial records of the time that the colonial government was trying to trace the water from Zungeru to what is today Kaduna. So the first means of transportation was by water. But then by 1909, the rail had come to Kaduna, and then the rail was heading to Sokoto, and it was the light rail, not the one today. So by the time the rail came, I think it was easier for the colonial government to shift the capital from Zungeru to what is Kaduna. So the name Kaduna is shrouded in a lot of mysteries, but I do believe that the Gbagi version of Adna as the river is most likely the authentic one. Once you come in contact with another ethnic group, whether you like it or not, there will be some impact on your own language and your own reality. But unfortunately, man is meant to migrate, and migration is part of humanity, and we have to accept it the way it is.
Kaduna is a melting pot of modernity, tradition, and history. Yet, very few remember the extraordinary Nok civilization that once thrived in this region. An ancient culture and a rich tapestry of life. The indomitable spirit of the Nok civilization lives on, echoing through the ages and inspiring generations to come. Known for their iconic terracotta sculptures, the Nok left behind traces of human settlement and a legacy that captivates and intrigues historians and archaeologists till date.